My dad loves to say that any shoe built after 1984 is Aid. So, today,
To determine the groove width.
let's put that to the test. So, to start off, we have my dad's EB Super Graton. And no, these are not Converse shoes with just rubber on the bottom. These are actual climbing shoes, and they're actually one of the first sort of real climbing shoes, sort of purpose-built shoes that were ever made. At least this sort of model. We're not really sure when this one was made. It was bought in a used sporting goods store in Caracas, Venezuela, sometime in the 80s. So they very well could be from all the way back from 1950, but at least that's where the model is from. But these exact shoes, maybe not from the 50s, maybe a little bit later, we think. But I mean, the rubber itself has held up exceptionally well, and you can kind of see immediately some of the differences, that this whole bottom piece is one actual long continuous piece of rubber. That's something that you don't really see ever anymore. We'll get into kind of how quickly that changed pretty fast with these next shoes. But yeah, these are the EB Super Graton. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. They're actually still in business today. EB is, and they actually are still providing some pretty quality shoes for some top level climbers. So props to them. So moving forward in time just a little bit, we do have these. I could not identify these, unlike my dad's, but these are my mom's shoes. And they're a little bit different. They're a little bit more modern in a few different places. The first thing is that the rubber is not just one continuous piece. There are sort of two or maybe even three separate pieces. You can kind of see evidence of that, of it kind of, wearing away. So the first is that on the top, or the side of it, this rubber piece right here is different from the actual sole. So that's something that you would see in pretty much any shoe, where if we use these Miuras, for example, you can see that the top of it here with the toe is different to the actual sole. So that's already, we're kind of modernizing a little bit. And these were roughly bought in the same time period, I guess. My mom had a better budget than my dad, I don't know. But yeah, they're a little bit more modern, even though they were definitely used at the time. And then bought by that same used sporting goods shop in Caracas. But this is where they bought them. And they look pretty good for, again, 40-year-old shoes. They remind me a little bit of TC Pros. I'll maybe put a picture up. They just look like outdoor trad shoes. Yeah, there's not really much to say. I mean, they're not really going to turn as many heads as maybe wearing these, because these just look like Converse shoes. These actually, I think, look like rock climbing shoes. They have that sort of, I don't know, that sort of function aspect of it. And you can kind of see a little bit of curvature. Definitely not aggressive, but there's something there. Definitely more than the flat, essentially just shoe of the Converse shoes. But yeah, my mom's shoes, I guess she had a little bit more style, or a little bit more forward thought. So now we've arrived at what this video is actually about. We're going to be removing these two. They were just for comparison. And we're going to be talking about these three pairs. Now, we've already met these. So we have now the Solution Comps. And these are one of my personal favorite shoes. I don't think I've ever been sort of more connected with a shoe upon first trying them, these Solution Comps. I immediately fell in love with them, and they're, all around the world they're used by just regular gym climbers as well as world-class climbers, indoor and outdoor. Mostly indoor though. But yeah, they really kind of don't even need a lot of introduction. They're good. They're really, really, really good shoes so far. So much so that my dad calls them Aid shoes. They're great for volumes, they're great for comp style climbing, they're great for lead climbing, for bouldering. They can really much do it all. If it's indoor, the Solution Comps have you covered. And so, what we're going to be doing is actually taking these three to a gym, and we're going to be climbing with them. Hopefully. These might be a little bit big, but definitely these two bad boys right here. All right, so we are now at the gym, and I have both pairs as well as the third one. Unfortunately, they were a little bit too big, so I will be using my mom's instead. But we're going to be putting them to the test. We're going to be kind of doing a little bit of a friendly competition to see which one is the better shoe. But I don't think I need to do that for you to know that this one is definitely the better shoe. It has a 40-year lead, so obviously it's going to be a better shoe. However, the way that this one my mom's shoe sort of wins per se, is if it literally does anything. All it has to do is one thing better than the Solution Comps. Whether it be comfort, weight, which by the way, it's a little bit more similar than you would expect, or toe hooking. Maybe in that sense, I doubt it. All it has to do is one thing, and it counts as a win for my mom's old shoes. If the Solution Comps does literally everything better, then the Solution Comps win, of course. And in a sense, they should. They have 40-year leads, and they're $200, so they really should kind of just dominate everything. They're for the environment. These are for outdoors. It really should be kind of a clearer win for Solution Comps. Maybe. We'll have to see. So let's get started.
I'd like to introduce a very interesting young man who's traveled from very far away to be with us tonight.
They won by a long shot. These shoes are a lot better than I could have ever imagined. I think a lot better than I think I'm going to be able to express on camera. I just did a little bit of a montage of me climbing in them, but they just felt like shoes. They just felt like regular shoes that were a little bit slippier on 45. So you can kind of see me trying to heel hook with them here, but they just felt like regular shoes that were sort of just weird sometimes. They were not very good on overhang, yet they were incredibly soft. Usually the very soft shoes are kind of nice and downturned, and they're very good on overhang, but these, were super, super soft. I actually tried crack climbing a little bit here, and it did not work at all. It just immediately started hurting because of how soft they were. But going into the overhang again, it just didn't really work out because of how soft, or because of how smooth, and it just felt like they were coming off the wall immediately. But with that said, there is one particular thing that these do far better than the Solution Comps. Far better. And that is volumes. So despite the somewhat odd angle, I think this is perfect for actually seeing how the Solution Comps perform on volumes and how sort of untrustworthy they are in some cases. I don't know if they're just sort of not broken in enough, although I've had them for a few months now. They definitely should be broken in, and again, these are purpose-built for this exact environment, and yet you can see that I initially fell. I'm kind of losing my footing quite a bit. I'm sort of shaky in a sense, and it's not comfortable. I'm not fully in control. However, when I use my mom's shoe, it's the complete opposite. Once again, with the exceptional angle, but it's just night and day. I'm making these little sort of micro adjustments. I'm sort of folding control. I'm letting go a little bit. It's just so much more comfortable for some reason compared to Solution Comps. And these are 40-year-old shoes. I also ended up doing a boulder, which was I think V5, V6, and a sport climb that was like 5.9. So nothing too crazy, especially on the sport climb side. But I just want to reiterate how much they just, I didn't remember that I had such old shoes on my feet. They weren't a hindrance in pretty much all areas. And the areas that they were, like heel hooks again and toe hooks, they're not that different from issues that you're going to see on a lot of starter shoes, like the Evolve Defy or just the Tarantula Ace, that are just sort of like how everybody starts. And these are essentially just kind of old. And here you can see my 5.9. Again, I was actually even fully upside down in a few cases. And I really didn't feel too many issues. Maybe that's from how soft they are, or just kind of how normal they are. But regardless, again, they really just felt like shoes.
So to conclude the video, I do want to say though that I think on the surface you can kind of say that this could be a bit of an L for the Solution Comps, a pretty massive one in a way, because the Solution Comps are sort of purpose built for comp style volume climbing, and yet these gave me so much more confidence. And I think the science of it makes sense. They're just super soft. They're super worn in. They're just going to stay. They're still rubber, so they're just going to stick to any texture you give it to them. But regardless, I mean, they're not 40 years old. They're not $220. These should be able to kind of handle anything better than these, but they couldn't. So again, the science of it does work out, but for whatever reason, on the surface, I think it does look like a pretty massive blunder for the La Sportiva Solution Comps. But I think the one difference is that these things are insanely rugged. I mean, you can even see that they don't look 40 years old, and because of that, they can be super worn in, super soft after all this time, and because of that, they're going to be better at super hyper-specific situations like the volumes. And so I think, like, in a weird way, it was an unfair fight for the solutions, sort of, surprisingly. I think went into it thinking, I was like, you know, this is going to turn out to be a weird video when I just say, yeah, the solution comps are better. But they're not. And I don't know if that says more about, well, they are better overall, but I think per my rules, these things definitely won. But as I was saying, like, I don't really know if this says more about our shoes or if it says more about these shoes and how good these actually were and not maybe how little has changed, but how much of the idea of it still kind of is pretty similar to 40 years ago. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.